When I designed San Quentin, my 10-foot-long American cichlid tank, I remember thinking to myself,
Mi cerebro es tan avanzado que mi proceso de diseño será mucho más complejo que el de todos esos humanos normales. Todo es fácil cuando eres tan brillante como yo.
Well, surprisingly, if I had a time machine, I might actually just go back, start all over again, and do a few things a little differently. I knew I wanted this thing to be big, and it is big, obviously, but what if it was a little more bigger?
Born over a fault line, bad teeth and worse habits, high heels in a trailer. If you want it, you should have it.
Alcatraz used to be here. It was the first thing you'd see when you entered the house, right in the walkway, which was designed so that there'd be room enough to walk around the 8-foot tank sticking just over 2 feet out from the wall. And it worked great, but there was this extra 4 feet at the end of the tank where there was just this blank wall that could easily be filled with at least 2 more aquatic feet. So my brain started doing the figuring, and a 10-footer instead of my 8-foot-long Alcatraz would be ideal here. But how wide and how tall? And that's where I might have messed up. Don't get me wrong, San Quentin is absolutely how I wanted it, and I'm definitely not complaining in any way. But if you don't mind me complaining, if I could go back, I might just add some more tank. It's 30 inches deep, which I knew would give people plenty of room to walk around the tank without it seeming tight. But if 30 inches is okay, I could probably have talked my wife into 32, right? Hardly any difference at all to the space it takes up, but it'd make a huge difference in water volume and the space for the fish. And honestly, I don't even really care if people have to come in through the garage because there's no space to get by the tank. You're with me on that, right? The tank is also 28 inches high. But again, why not 30 inches high? 28 seemed perfect at the time, and already if I need to reach the sand, I'm in all the way to my armpit. But I could go a little more. Get that shoulder in there. So just a few things there I might do differently, but it would also be at the outer limits of what my floor can support. So it's probably a good thing I didn't add the extra inches to the tank dimensions, but still, that'd be pretty darn cool if you ask me.
So I kind of screwed up when and how I added certain inmates to the yard. Here's what I did, and here's what I should have did.
Subscribe, or someone dies. Ding ding.
Everybody knows that if you get baby, super fast growing fish that are going to get big in a hurry, and you have other baby fish that are going to grow really slowly, then you add the slow growers first. Give them time to break out a bite size before you add the future giants to the tank. Well, I didn't quite do that, and here's the reason for it, but I might have just done it differently if I could go back. See, I bought my smaller at the time, but really fast growers at the same time as some of the other smaller, slower growing guys like this itty bitty Jack Dempsey. Here's why I bought these fast-growing giants right away, and maybe you're like me and you would have done the exact same thing, but maybe not. So it can be really hard to find the fish that you want when you want them. It's really hard. They're scarce. So if you see a wild Colombian Oscar available, you kind of got to jump on it in order to get it. Assuming you have the space for him, of course. When Percy, Kevin, and Buck were available right after I set up San Quentin, I knew that if I didn't get him now, it might be upwards of a year before I had another chance from a good breeder, so I pounced. But a few months after that, a bunch of other amazingly slow growers were up for grabs. My Geophagus altifrons, and they could be in San Quentin right now instead of in this 20-gallon grow-out tank. These altifrons were probably what I was most excited about getting for that tank, but it's going to take forever for them to get big enough to avoid becoming rations for the big inmates. If I could just hop in a time machine and go back, I might just wait for the slow growers to start off with them, even though it would mean waiting quite a while before getting those really cool big guys, the ones I'm enjoying so much right now. I think those altifrons would have grown more quickly in a huge tank like that too. But if you're going to do something similar, I'd recommend, like everyone else does and I completely ignored, getting the slow growers first. Here's some good news. In the near future, there'll be an option for you to become a member of the channel. You'll get different perks like checking out my videos before their release, special members only videos, and emojis that'll show up next to your name in the comments section of each video. Plus other cool things, and it's a great way to support the channel. Coming soon.
This one will be quick. You see the stand that San Quentin's sitting on? Well, I built a frame for it about 9 months ago, and my intentions were to do the finish work right away and get it completed. But I got really busy and I just haven't had time to do that. So I should have probably just paid someone to do the finish work and had it all completed immediately. But I wanted to do it myself, and I'll probably end up waiting until this summer to actually get it done. And even then, it's going to be kind of iffy. So it looks really ghetto in my house, but the tank it's really all that matters, right? The tank and the fish. Who gives a shit about everything else? Fake leaves. Let's talk about them.
One of the best decisions I made when setting this tank up was to go with aqua decor to make all of my decor, except for a few real rocks that I found down by the river. It looks incredibly real. The fake wood doesn't release tannins and won't rot, which is great. Plus the branches could be designed to fit perfectly in the tank and look just right. The fake rocks are just as incredible. One thing that surprised me on my order though was the fake catappa leaves. To me, they're indistinguishable from the real leaves. They even feel like the real thing. But something happened over time to these real-looking leaves. They started to slowly disintegrate, making them even more like real leaves, except who knows what's being released into the water as they dissolve. And once, I even saw one of my fish with what looked like some of these leaves in his mouth. I don't know why the fuck you'd want to eat these fake leaves, but okay, fish are dumb, except for Percy. So I would just pass on these leaves if I could go back. Pretty soon I'll dip my arm in there all the way up to my armpit and grab them out. Let me know if someone dear to you likes to eat fake leaves, and maybe I'll send them to you.
This next one is something that I woulda, coulda, shoulda done, and it's something that I still can do, and I probably will actually.
15, you needed to calm down. You listened as it all came undone. Oh, 15, you don't have to be.
Lights are one of the most important things that can affect the look of your tank. The wrong lights can make your tank look much less beautiful than you'd like it to be. For San Quentin, I wanted to steal the AI primes from the 180 and use them here, and I also had an extra one at the time. But they didn't fit, and I was going to have to mod an attachment so they would. But then I thought about it and I didn't want the 180 to go without, plus I have plants in there that are still alive for some reason, and taking those lights would send them off to be with the Lord, so I just went with the two Fluval Sea Marine 3.0s, which are doing the trick. They don't light the back of the tank very well, so I'd need more of them, and I just prefer the lights that are up off the tank a foot or so to get that nice rippling effect due to the water movement under the lights. It only works if the lights are up high enough. Anyway, those AI primes are great, but they cost around $300 each, and I need about 3 or 4 of them. I'll probably make the switch in the future, but I think I'll just keep the Fluvals for now.
You might use canister filters or you might use sumps. And if you use sumps, you're probably a sump snob where nothing else will do the trick except for one of those. But my experience with sumps has been a little less than desirable. And my water clarity doesn't look good at all, especially compared to my other tanks, which are crystal clear, and this one's definitely not. So here's what happened with my sump, and here's what I plan on doing.
Sumps are wonderful for a lot of reasons. More water volume, easier to maintain than a bunch of canister filters, you can add more biomedia and even grow plants in them. This was my first sump. It's a seamless sump from Custom Aquariums, the same guys that made San Quentin, and overall it's great. But I was sent these ball valves, which are total shit compared to gate valves. One handle even broke off, which is just as well because I could barely get the thing to turn anyway. So I would have installed gate valves that are so much better to adjust the flow with. Also, see these green little pipes between the sections? Well, they're too small for what I need. I won't bore you with the details, but I need bigger ones. And Mark at Custom Aquariums was great in sending me some parts to add the bigger pipes. I would have just gone with the bigger ones had I known at the time when I placed the order. My two Cichlid Charmer SDC 7.0 pumps are doing a great job and they don't make a lot of noise, so I wouldn't change those at all. I do notice that the water clarity just isn't up to par with my tanks that use canister filters though. I changed out the filter socks to some better ones, but it's still not quite making it as clear as I would like. Not crystal clear by a long shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an FX6 as a polishing filter before too long and get this up to the same level as the other tanks as far as water clarity goes. I'm pretty sure just one FX6 will do the trick.
watch another one of my videos, why don't you? Because this one's over. I'll see you next time.